Technical foul call. I think it's on Tim Duncan sitting on the bench. Somebody on the bench for the Spurs. Yep, it's Duncan.
All right, welcome back to another After Dark, everyone. How y'all doing? You doing good? It's good to see you here. Let's see. I have gotten a ton of comments asking me to check out this video, and it puts a big old smile on my face for a couple of reasons. This video is titled The Most Infamous Ejection in NBA History, and I remember this. This is about Tim Duncan. So first, I love to see the love for Tim Duncan out there because I feel like he doesn't get enough love. Two, this is from a channel called Woo Hoops, and I've been reacting to this channel since pretty much the beginning, like at least like the first like month or two of the channel's existence, and right off the bat, like we all loved it. Like I reacted to a video. I was like hella impressed with the insane quality of these videos from somebody who was just getting started. So maybe he had a YouTube channel before, but whatever it is, it's rare you see somebody, hop on the scene like this with such amazing quality right off the get-go. So I love seeing the love for his channel as well, and seeing the growth of his channel as well, because he's moving up fast, and it's really cool to see. Anyways, you guys, this is gonna be a funny one, because this is when you know that humans have flaws and humans have egos and pride, because what's about to take place here and what leads to this ejection is just straight up comedy, man. So it's one of those things. Robots would never do this, but humans, totally. Anyways, you guys, I'm going to link the original video down below if you want to check out Woo Hoops channel. The link is going to be down in the description. There you'll see a list of channel members, and shout out to Rob F, who just joined on recently. I appreciate you guys. So I think that's it for the intro. Like the vid, I would appreciate it a lot. And other than that, kick back, relax. This is going to be a funny one.
The date is April 15th, 2007, and Tim Duncan has just been ejected from a national TV NBA game for laughing.
Yeah, for laughing.
Out of the game. He swung Duncan out of the game.
A Sunday matinee matchup between two of the top teams in the league will forever be overshadowed.
Yeah, who was watching? I watched this game live. I was watching this. This is so ridiculous.
This would be one of the most infamous ejections ever, not only because of how it happened, but also the ramifications that followed, including a season-long suspension and a supposed $100K fine for referee Joe Crawford.
No way, he got fined? Former NBA ref Joey Crawford reveals David Stern made him get therapy after. No way, dude. I used to like Joey Crawford too. I don't have any beef with him, but like this was ridiculous. Oh man, he also got fined $100,000.
To understand how all of this could have been possible, we must go all the way back to Joey Crawford's childhood.
Oh wow,
Growing
okay.
up, while most of Crawford's peers watched the NBA for the legendary players, Crawford himself, however, had his eyes set elsewhere.
No way.
My father took me to pro basketball games. He knew about Bill Russell, but he pointed out Mendy Rudolph and Earl Strom.
And out it goes, and it hits Earl Strom. Stays in play as Sylvie comes down.
I would watch the pro refs on TV. I would emulate them. I had all the movements down, so I looked better than everybody else.
Crawford became enamored with the intricacies of refereeing.
Why am I thinking of that Billy Crystal movie right now where he was a referee, and a very convincing referee, by the way?
The beauty in its own right. And from a very early age, Crawford knew what he wanted to become.
Wow.
The bug got me, and all I ever wanted to do was ref in the NBA.
And this shouldn't be surprising. Crawford grew up in a refereeing household, with his dad being a legendary MLB umpire, most known for ejecting manager Earl Weaver in Game 4 of the 1969 World Series.
The heck's so
And now Shag Crawford has turned and pointed the finger. And Crawford moves on over toward the dugout. And Weaver's just behind him as he moves back, and he's out of the ball game. Earl Weaver has been thrown out of this World Series.
You can say a lot of things about Joey Crawford, but what you can't deny is is his work ethic and passion towards refereeing.
All right, this is the first time I've ever heard of a family that their line of business essentially is refereeing. This already took me on a path I didn't expect.
Unlike a typical ref, Crawford's ideology towards refereeing is that you must have your presence felt.
Invisible referee is a bunch of crap. You're going to notice the referee. The referee's out there. They're part of the game.
In a way, Crawford's mentality is almost more of what you expect out of an NBA superstar than a typical referee.
A lot of referees have told me I take it too seriously, or it's a life and death type of thing. I did approach it like that.
Chuck, you gotta move your foot on the line. Set, Devin. Set, stay. Gary, move your foot.
Despite being a reffing Nepo baby, he didn't take the Nepo ref baby path. Crawford would ref for 8 years in high school, then 3 more years in the CBA. Okay. But ultimately, Crawford would achieve his dream, being hired as an NBA ref in the year 1977. So let's go back 1 year earlier to 1976. In 1976, a future NBA legend would be born.
No.
His name, Tim Duncan. As a kid, he dreamed of being an Olympic swimmer.
It was a big dream of mine. I really, ever since I was so small, I wanted to grow up to be an Olympic swimmer.
That's
but
right.
a hurricane.
I do remember this. I do.
To destroy all the local pools when Duncan was just 12 years old.
Good evening. Hurricane Hugo is a monster tonight. Today, it grew rapidly from a Category 2 to a Category 4 hurricane. Now has winds of 135 miles an hour. That's very dangerous.
2 years after that, Duncan would also lose his mother. On her deathbed, Duncan would promise his mother that he would graduate college.
My dad promised her that he'd see us through school and see that we all graduated from college.
Without accessible swimming pools, Duncan would be relegated to swim in the shark-infested ocean.
It was in the ocean, and in the ocean deep water you don't like. He didn't like that because you know that sharks was over there. So because of that, he took up basketball.
Just like Joey Crawford, Tim Duncan's personality also doesn't fit the mold of who he became. Instead of the typical demeanor of NBA legends, Duncan was described as awkward, quiet, going all the way back to high school.
And this is Timmy in the very, very corner. And this is his sister next to him. You can see Timmy, he's real shy.
But that didn't stop him from dominating, earning himself.
One thing I love about Tim Duncan is that he is one of the 10 greatest basketball players of all time, in my opinion at least. And when he retired, he just drove off into the sunset. You know, he didn't come back looking for more. He just went on and lived his life. Popovich even tried to get him to be an assistant coach and possibly hand over the coaching reign to him, but he just wasn't interested. So, I mean, a lot of people might be disappointed because we don't get to see a lot of Tim Duncan around, but I respect it because honestly, it's probably what I would do too. Maybe I would show up once a year, sit down for a podcast or something like that. But other than that, I'd be enjoying the rest of my life.
Div 1 scholarship at Wake Forest University. Despite Duncan likely being a blue-chip NBA prospect from his freshman year, Duncan would stay in college all 4 seasons to fulfill his promise to his mother.
Awesome.
Finally, after graduating in 1997, Tim Duncan would enter the NBA draft.
Good son.
With the first pick in the 1997 NBA draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Tim Duncan from Wake Forest University.
2 seasons before this very moment, the San Antonio Spurs will be in Chicago for a road game, and Scottie Pippen is about to have the most unhinged reaction to a technical foul you've ever seen.
Get to the locker room. I know he's frustrated. Sheer! My goodness gracious!
All right, Bobby Knight.
Oh my! You don't need this in the league.
The referee that made the call? None other than Joey Crawford.
Oh, my boy.
Scotty better be careful with Joey Crawford. He'll get thrown out. Joey's got a quick fuse. And Luke Longley tries to stop him.
BJ tried to stop him.
There he goes.
Luke is trying to stop him.
By 1990.
Oh, this was when Jordan wasn't around then, huh?
1997. Joe Crawford has been a referee for 20 years in the league, developing a solid reputation, reffing in every finals since 1986.
Underway, controlled by the Celtics. Jake O'Donnell and Joe Crawford are the working officials.
His reputation with the players and coaches, though, was solely about the frequencies of his technical fouls.
Now, he Technical foul on the coach. Technical foul on Gary St. Jean.
Crawford will reveal that he once hit NBA coach Bill Fitch with a technical foul so hard that he broke his finger.
What?
From that point forward, he would just do a one-finger tap for the call.
What the
In
heck?
1998, the NBA would go through one of its greatest referee scandals. The IRS deemed it Operation Slam Dunk. The scandal? Well, NBA referees were given first-class tickets for their flights, but a lot of referees would downgrade their flights to economy, then pocket the difference. That, my friend, is deemed a profit, and one must declare that on their income taxes. The referees did not, and subsequently were investigated.
Damn, I respect it, but yeah, you'll get caught with that.
Crawford himself would fail to report $82K in taxable income from 1991 to 1993. Ultimately, 11 of the 12 referees indicted pleaded guilty, including Joey Crawford. Crawford would be sentenced to 6 months of house arrest, 3 years of probation, paid back over $100K in taxes, and also resigning from the NBA.
Damn, I wouldn't have guessed they'd be saving that much money by going with it, by flying where the rest of us fly. But damn, man, I guess it adds up. So they travel probably 40 games, at least a year, huh?
For one offseason before David Stern reinstated him for the 1998-1999 shortened lockout season. No reporting of this at the time, so I don't know what happened there. But luckily for Crawford, his consecutive final streak will be alive, as he would ref in 2 of the finals games, including Game 5, where the newest NBA champion and finals MVP will be crowned.
Tim Duncan.
It's cool to see him in
While
Avery.
the future looked bright for San Antonio and Duncan after the championship, they would have to wait a bit for their second, as the super duo in LA would take over the league for the foreseeable future. Then, in 2003, the Spurs would end the Lakers' run by defeating them in the second round in the conference.
Damn, man. Anyone want to say that Fisher doesn't care? Damn, man. I never seen that. Said something like that. He's crying right there.
Finals, the Spurs would be matched up with the Dallas Mavericks. In Game 2, with Dallas up 1-0 in the series, Joey Crawford would make one of the most shocking decisions ever.
Don Nelson was standing on the sideline, saying nothing but staring at Joe Crawford. Joe Crawford told him, go sit down. Don Nelson said no, shook his head no. Now this is the second time. Joe said, what did you say? Then you're out.
You're out.
Second technical.
That's where he's emulating his father. That's totally a baseball thing. You're out of here.
Spurs and Duncan will be the beneficiary of this incident, defeating the Mavericks in 6 games and ultimately winning the NBA championship.
Damn.
Despite this being an obvious overreaction in hindsight, at the time, Crawford did have defenders as well.
How about Nelly getting tossed in the first quarter?
It was his own fault. Jeff Van Gundy's wrong because the guy gave him a tee and told him to sit down. So when the guy stays there, he's trying to show up the referee.
David Stern.
This might be a controversial view, but I do agree with Chuck there. If you already got a technical foul, that means stop doing what you're doing now or else. We all know this in any sport. If you keep going and doing the thing you already got a warning for, a technical for, then you're going to get the second one and you're going to be out of there. Dude, don't get it mixed. Don't hate in the comments. I'm not defending Joey Crawford. I'm just saying in those kind of scenarios, I do agree. I don't agree with the Tim Duncan thing that's coming later, though. You'll see. There's a very different situation.
However, who had stood up for Crawford only a few seasons prior, now looks to be the fool. Stern would call Crawford into his New York office and go off at him. Crawford, however, would fight back, arguing, wait a minute. What did you want me to do? Wait until Nelly called me an effing a-hole and then throw him out? Stern said, yes. Then, at least I could have defended you, you moron. Stern told me, don't ever do that again. Spoiler alert, he was about to do it again, even with the same teams involved. Before we get to that, a quick word from today's sponsor.
Hey,
okay guys,
let
me tell you about a website I've been using called Kalshi. I've been using it to keep track of not only the NBA playoff odds, but also other global events. You can trade on just about anything. Now let's see how it works. Let's look at the odds for the finals. A contract for OKC winning is worth 86 cents. If you put $100 down, you could get $117 back. It's similar to minus $5.67 on traditional sportsbooks. Indiana is trading at 15 cents, so if you put down $100, you could get $667 back. This is the same as plus $5.67 on traditional sportsbooks. And as you can see, in this case, the odds are extremely high for the Thunder to finally bring it home. Regardless of your interests, Kalshi is a great way to sense where the public is leaning. Kalshi is the only place you can trade on these events legally in all 50 states. If you want to try it out, Kalshi is giving $10 to anyone who signs up using my link and trades $100. So if you're interested, check the link in my description before the NBA playoffs are over. Thank you, Kalshi.
All right, let's roll.
The 2007 season was an eventful year for the league. The Dallas Mavericks are about to have the greatest regular season in franchise history with 67 wins. Let's go back now to our ESPN matinee game. With 3 games left in the season, the Spurs were
These were the days. These were the days. Oh, man. Dallas was so good. Phoenix was so great. The Spurs, man, unbeatable, like in the freaking playoffs, unstoppable. The Utah Jazz were great. Kirilenko and D-Will. Oh, man, the Rockets. Denver was still like doing their damage. Man, what good times.
2 games behind the Suns, thus unlikely to realistically catch them. Despite the Mavericks already locking up the #1 seed, they were still playing this game as a dress rehearsal for the playoffs. In the third quarter, on a fast break with 2:20 remaining, Jason Terry would get fouled and go to the line for 2 free throws. And this is where it begins.
This is the free throw. And a technical foul call. I think it's on Tim Duncan.
I gotta rewatch it because I'm focusing on the free throw. Where's Timmy at? Where is Timmy?
Remaining, Jason Terry would get fouled and go to the line for 2
1, 2, 3.
Free throws.
Where is
he? This is
okay. So he's on the bench
where
already.
It begins.
This is the free throw.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Where's Waldo?
Technical foul call. I think it's on Tim Duncan sitting on the bench. Somebody on the bench for the Spurs. Yep, it's Duncan, who is unhappy with the lack of a call.
Yeah, see, this is a total different scenario.
He said something to Joe Crawford. Now, Crawford, as we said, one of the best in the business, but he also has maybe the quickest technical in the NBA.
Then, just a little over a minute later.
And a blocking foul. Joey Crawford saying Alberto moving. Popovich doesn't like that one either. And another technical foul. And this is when Duncan.
It's so ridiculous.
Out of the game. He's thrown Duncan.
Look at the looks. Guys, he's not the only one laughing. The whole team was laughing at how ridiculous this was.
Crawford now walking over. That's the second technical, which is an automatic ejection. As we've been showing you, Duncan's been laughing. Maybe Crawford felt he was showing him up by constantly laughing.
Dude, security. The security's on him. Like, let's get out of here. Like, what? See, this is the difference. In this scenario, this was personal. Like Joey Crawford, whatever that happened in here, it just triggered him. And I've never seen anything like this. You don't call technical on somebody just chilling on the bench. He wasn't standing up and yelling and cursing. He was sitting down there laughing.
Hear anything because of the crowd, and he was across the court.
Anyone else getting deja vu? Same side of the court, same 2 teams playing. Same results.
At least it's showing he doesn't have favorites, you know? It just means anybody who he feels disrespected by, he blows up.
2 days later, on April 17th, it will be announced that Joey Crawford will be suspended indefinitely from the league, while Tim Duncan will be fined $25,000 for verbal abuse of an official. After a career of ejecting players and coaches, Crawford is now the one leaving the court. David Stern would say, although Joey is consistently rated as one of our top referees, he must be held accountable for his actions on the court.
Yeah, for sure.
Crawford, however, would double down. If my employer does not think that was acceptable, I have a problem working in the
Dang, man. Let it go. You were in the wrong here.
The reason that they suspended me was because of the Nelson thing. When I did the Nelson thing, Stern told me, says if you do anything like that again, there's gonna be problems.
Well, just like a referee doesn't like it when you give somebody a warning and then they do the exact same thing again, because they'll kick you out. Well, David Stern's your referee, sir. So he warned you. He said, don't do it again. And then you did it again. So What, you know, like, what happens at this point.
And so I received a call that I was suspended. It was just a phone call. You're done.
As a result, David Stern would suspend Crawford. Not only that, Stern would also make an unprecedented call, enforcing Crawford to seek therapy.
I went to a sports psychologist, Joel Fish. When you work game sevens and you work all these games that I worked, sometimes you get a little bit full of yourself. And when somebody takes you down, which I did, I took myself down, you say, well, you know what? I got to do something here. And you come to the realization that life is not all about being maybe the so-called top referee in the NBA.
Yeah.
When I look back on my career, I think sometimes when I got in trouble, it was pride.
Wait. Okay, it's important to listen to what he's saying, but I can't deny the clip that I'm watching here. Watch what happens. Joey's gonna run in, knock him down, and then he's gonna. I think he's calling the foul on Billups here.
I think sometimes.
Foul, Billups. Oh snap! Oh man, I've never seen that before. What the hell?
I got in trouble. It was pride instead of serving the game.
Now, there's a lot of reports online that Crawford was also fined $100K in addition to the suspension.
Oof.
However, upon further investigation, this is what Crawford actually meant.
It cost me over $100,000 in playoff money because I didn't work the playoffs.
In 2007, Joey Crawford would miss his first NBA Finals since 1986, ending his unprecedented streak. The following season, he would be reinstated.
My last 10 years in the league, I felt really good about myself. It was still a problem. I still had to talk to myself, but I enjoyed myself a little more.
In 2016, for the first time, Joey Crawford was not only recognized by the league, but also the players. In an anonymous survey, Crawford would be voted the second best ref in the league by players. A coach was quoted saying, "Once upon a time, you couldn't talk to Joey. He's cleaned that up big time."
Nice.
In 2016 February, Joey Crawford.
Wow. Dude, 2,561 games, 374 playoff games. Jeez. Will miss the rest of the season with a right knee injury. That's so crazy.
Announces retirement after 39 seasons in the league.
39
5 months later, on July 11th, Tim Duncan would also announce his retirement after 19 seasons in the league. Crawford is most notable for reffing in 29 of 30 NBA Finals.
Unreal.
The goof is if I didn't screw up with the Duncan thing, it would have been from 86 all the way to 2016.
The one that helped break the streak, Tim Duncan, who's also most notable for winning the most championships without a repeat. Though the Spurs ultimately lost the game and didn't get the second seed, they would nevertheless go on to win the championship. Sometimes things are never as good or as bad as it seems. Take a deep breath. Everything will be all right.
Yep. Aww.
You got to stay humble. You really do. I was able to do that at the end of my career. I'm glad I figured it out. It only took me 30 years.
Oh, boy. Wow, Danny Wu. That's another banger.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing. And YouTube thinks you'll like this video, so maybe watch that next.
I did, man. It was great. It's fantastic. All right. Wow, okay. You know what? The major takeaway from all this is that I'm really glad that therapy worked for him, man. So good call by David Stern on sending him to therapy. Because obviously he's a hell of a referee, but he just had such an inflated ego that, I mean, and I get it. Like if you're the supreme power in these major basketball games for like 20 some odd years, yeah, I guess eventually your ego might go out of control, and his ego needed to be checked. So he was no longer refereeing the game. He was refereeing how the players and the coaches were making him feel. You know what I mean? So like if they made him feel bad, or they insulted him, or like disrespected him, then he was like, no, you're out of here. Like, you can't go that far, man. You're supposed to be refereeing the sport, you know? But I'm glad the therapy helped him, and he's now come to a point where he's like, yeah, I needed that. I was way out of line. So it looked like David Stern really, really did him a solid there by basically, I mean, sometimes you have to punish somebody like that and send them on a positive path, even though it's the last thing they want to do. And at the time, they'll be kicking and screaming and yelling at you and cursing you, and playing victim. But, eventually, if they can check their ego and look in the mirror and go, oh, crap, what did I do? Like, okay, what did I do? I accept what I did. Now, how do I correct this in the future? I don't want to be that guy anymore. I'm just glad, because I was kind of worried the story was going to be like Joey Crawford at the end of it and still being like, yeah, that was bull crap and that was Tim Duncan's fault, not mine, and David Stern's a bastard. Like, I was really hoping it wouldn't end like that, and I'm glad it didn't. He had a wake-up call. I'm sure that benefited his whole life. In fact, like anybody in his personal life and stuff, probably thanks David Stern for this one. Anyways, you guys, what'd you think? There's a lot of you. Okay, I lost count how many of you requested that I check out this video, and now I know why. That was even better than I thought it was gonna be, because I saw this come on my feed. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be fun to relive this, but Mr. Woo Hoops, like, he threw in a lot of knowledge in there I never really had. So very, very thankful. Very thankful to be doing this with you guys and enjoying this with you guys. I'll see you all in the comments like usual, all right? Say what's up, say hello, and like the vid if you haven't done it. I'd really appreciate it. Unless you hated the video, then downvote it. Subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. Shout out to members. I appreciate you all. And most importantly, be water, my friends.